Yo, 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 what up? It's your boy GOD. In the house with me, I got,
B. Scott.
and over there behind the camera, I got the third wheel. We're doing a little bit of free agency news for you today. You know what I mean? So sit back, relax, grab your drinks. You know what it is. First four downs, baby. Drop the logo.
What's going on, everybody? And welcome to the first four downs. It's B. Scott here with God, and if you're seeing this, obviously we got a new set going. We're coming to you live from the first four down studios, and today we're going to be talking about free agents. There's been a lot of talks and a lot of movement with a lot of big players, and none other than Tom Brady being the number one player to be on the move. So realistically, it's a great move for Tampa, in my opinion. I think it's the difference between him and Jameis Winston, based on last season's numbers, they were almost identical.
Yeah.
So I think it's a huge move for a more accurate quarterback. Although he's old, don't get me wrong. I think Brady still has enough left in the tank to help Tampa. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, first of all, he had a great career at New England. You know what I mean? Six Super Bowls. He went there 9 times, right? Something like that. You know what I mean? Just a great career. They get a player in Brady that's just outstanding. You know what I mean? He's the best to ever do it. So,
One of the best.
And with the weapons that he had last year, you know what I mean. He had a very subpar season, but he didn't throw that many interceptions. You know what I mean. So now you're going into a situation where you have Bruce Arians, who is one of those quarterback gurus, and you know what I mean. Developed quarterbacks very good. You know what I mean. Look what he did with Carson Palmer in the latter years of his career. But now he has different weapons. You got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. These guys are beasts.
Yeah.
And then also you got O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate still sitting there. You know what I mean? The running back position is still up in the air. You know what I mean? I think they will address that in the draft. You know what I mean? They have a need for the offensive line. You know what I mean? A lot of pros have them selecting a offensive lineman in the first round of the draft. But I think Dobbins is like key for them to pick up. You know what I'm saying, at the running back position. So we'll see what happens there. The only thing about Brady going there, you know what I mean, I think is NFC South has gotten incredibly strong.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So whoever comes out of there is going to have to be an absolute monster. You know what I mean? They're going to be shooting out a lot of games. But yeah, that's obviously the biggest acquisition in free agency so far.
Yeah, and like I said, you look at Tom Brady and Jameis Winston, their numbers last year almost identical.
Yeah.
Right around 65% completion percentage. They finished with, don't get me wrong, Jameis had the 5,000 yards. Jameis had 33 touchdowns, to Brady's lower touchdown rate, but definitely less interceptions you're going to get with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So it's a no-brainer decision for Tampa, who's in a tough division. And yeah, Brady hasn't had weapons like this in a long time. I mean, realistically, going back to when he had Randy Moss as a wide receiver, so
he threw 50 touchdowns that year.
that's what I'm saying. So that's what we were hoping when they acquired Antonio Brown, and you expected possibly a full season with Antonio Brown. You thought Brady might be able to do it. So it's a no-brainer, slam dunk for Tampa. It's an A+ in my opinion, and I don't see how it could be doubted. You're getting a more accurate quarterback. Don't get me wrong, you might worry about Brady throwing the ball downfield. He hasn't in a few seasons, he hasn't, but he hasn't had the weapons of repertoire. So
yeah, his numbers have declined on that side of the field, and you have to wonder what they're going to do at the running back position. You know what I mean? Are they going to end up running with Ronald Jones, who hasn't proved to be a pro player yet?
No,
you know what I mean? So
he showed flashes, but even then, he's been more bust than boom. So
yeah, but I think just even with the checkdowns that they got in O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate and Chris Godwin going to be the slot, which he's always made a dynamic slot in Wes Welker, and you look at Emmanuel Sanders. So
yeah.
These guys are like super fantasy relevant, super fantasy potent in your second to fifth round picks. You know what I mean? So, man, there's going to be something to see.
And not just that, but look at the fantasy aspect. Brady's probably going to be drafted outside the top 10 at quarterbacks, realistically, or close to around the 10.
Yeah.
And he's a player that could easily bounce back and be a top 5 player. You look at Jameis Winston, 33 touchdowns. He did have the 30 interceptions, and he still finished as a top 5 quarterback.
I don't know. I could see a lot of fantasy players pulling Brady in the fourth round, somewhere around that level right there.
We'll see.
I mean?
I hope they don't get him too high. I hope they don't reach. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like me some Tom Brady, especially coming up this season, but don't definitely reach for him. I mean, there's a lot of good quarterbacks you can get to. But on to the next free agent we could talk about. I think one that is the biggest acquisition at the quarterback position, I would say, is Teddy Bridgewater going to Carolina and then letting Cam Newton. They cut him. You know, Cam Newton's a free agent at the moment. So Bridgewater going over there, I don't really like the move. You know, I think you don't really know what you can get with Teddy Bridgewater, and you know what you have with Cam Newton.
Yeah.
So, and then they get rid of Kyle Allen, who actually was pretty solid last year. You know, they ship him to Washington, and where he could honestly win the starting job. So, but yeah, the Bridgewater move, I'm not sure. And then Cam's still a free agent out there.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of places that need quarterback. Patriots are still looking.
Yeah, the Bridgewater move makes absolutely no sense to me. You know what I mean? I think Carolina kind of panicked when they seen all the things going on in the NFC South and all the moves being made. They went and got Robbie Anderson. You know what I mean? I just don't see where Bridgewater can be a crazy dynamic. You know what I'm saying? To compete for games in that division. You know what I mean? Robbie Anderson is not, you know, a top 10 wide receiver at all. You know what I mean?
Like I said, that was the thing with Robbie Anderson as a free agent going over there. That it made zero sense to me. I mean, that's not a spot where they need a stretch the field player. You know, you got Curtis Samuel already. You got DJ Moore, who are two very similar players.
Yeah.
DJ Moore is actually a very solid receiver. So,
Yeah.
but
I think he'll be more or less like, you know, that intermediate game receiver, possession type of receiver.
Well, and they lost Greg Olsen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's even better for DJ Moore.
They're
honestly,
in a complete real rebuild over there or something. You know what I mean? So
they're trying to piece it together, and I don't think Bridgewater's the answer.
yeah, he's a total game manager. You know what I mean? This far in his career, when he was at Minnesota, he was pretty much a game manager. He got hurt. He was pretty good though. Sitting behind Breeze, maybe he learned a thing or two. You know what I'm saying? They did pay for him. We'll see what happens as far as Cam is concerned. It's going to be exciting to see where he goes because I think he still is young enough to have something in the tank and still compete. So we'll see where he'll end up. I think he should end up in a backup role right now. You know what I mean? So he can completely get healthy. You think about Eli Manning when he had a surgery on his shoulder. You know what I mean? He didn't come back. You know what I'm saying? It took him a year later to actually get back that kind of rhythm. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, I like Cam honestly. Like you were saying with the backup role, we could aim right at Phillip Rivers, another free agent that was acquired.
Yeah.
He signed a 1-year deal with the Colts. They have no future at the quarterback position, so I think Cam is a great fit over there. Or Jameis Winston, realistically.
I think Cam would be a very good fit in New Orleans. Breeze is going to be gone in probably about 2 seasons. He knows that division very well. You know what I mean? It'll be the ultimate just, you know what I mean, revenge for Cam Newton.
Yeah, that would be pretty crazy to me. I mean, Cam does lack a little on the accuracy, but he's a gamer, man. He's been to the Super Bowl. He knows what it's about. So,
yeah,
definitely he should land in a spot that's good. Same with Jameis Winston. So, we could turn right now to look at some running backs. Obviously, we got Jordan Howard was one of the big names in the offseason. He went to Miami. It's a good spot for him. Don't get me wrong. He's going to get a lot of carries. They need a running back. They were like damn near dead last running the football last season. So
yeah, and he's always been solid, man. You know what I mean? People forget the guy's only 25 years old. You know what I mean? He still has a lot left in the tank. No, he doesn't catch passes thus far in his career.
Yeah, he hasn't been given the opportunities.
You know what I mean? But he can do it. You know what I mean? So I think that leaves them space in this draft where they have a lot of first-round picks to do more things because they need a lot of things. You know what I mean? So I think that was a good signing for them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I honestly think that projects Jordan Howard to be in the top 15 to at least the top 20 of running backs. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Yeah. Like, period.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
And then we can look at the Melvin Gordon signing. A free agent that, he kind of lost his way last season. He missed out on a lot of money with the Chargers. And he took his chances in the offseason. And it did not pan out for him.
Nope.
2 years, $16 million? With incentivized $16 million to go to the Denver Broncos, who already have a starting running back, realistically. And it's funny, I saw a post from Phil Lindsay saying he ain't just going to lay down and give up the job. So it's going to be a battle. It's a full committee, I think.
If you had plans on drafting Philip Lindsay or Melvin Gordon, well, they just killed it for each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's going to be a complete split. I mean, don't get me wrong. You look at Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt next year, they're going to produce majorly next year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With a sophomore quarterback in Drew Lock, you know what I mean? They may be able to do the same thing, you know what I mean? But I just don't see why that even happened.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It makes no sense.
No, there was other places that were more relevant.
Yeah.
They could have easily used a running back. So
That's absolutely crazy. The biggest running back situation, I think, is the Rams letting go Todd Gurley. And he goes back to the NFC South. He's from Atlanta. You know what I mean? Went to Georgia. Todd Gurley is Atlanta Falcon, people.
that is pretty nuts. It's crazy.
It's, oh my God.
Well,
They have I mean, everybody's talking about this Tom Brady signing, and you know, New Orleans being so dominant in that division as of late. Atlanta has a chance to come back and kick it back right now.
Yeah, of course.
They just got Todd Gurley. I mean, that red zone woes that they have that they've had in the last couple of years would not even be able to feed Julio Jones the ball there. Dude, I think Julio and Todd Gurley is going to have a great season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to worry about obviously Dirk Cutter being the offense coordinator. It doesn't bode well for the running backs in the passing game.
Yeah.
And Gurley makes a lot of money in that passing game. Don't get me wrong. So, but he is still dominant carrying the football.
Yeah.
Obviously, the injury and
you
knowing that his knee's just going to deteriorate over time, it's just going to get worse. But you saw last season.
Even whatever he did have limited carries last year, but he still was very productive with those carries. You know
especially
what I mean?
in fantasy land. So realistically, it's a good spot for him to have enough to be able to carry a load. You know, and if they run him effectively and give him that load, because even Devontae Freeman, who has struggled the last few seasons with injury, and even when he plays, he's not very good. Okay, yeah, you say he sucks. Even with him, he still got a lot of carries. You know, carrying the football. So absolutely, Todd Gurley's a great move. Yeah. You know, so next we can turn to the wide receivers. Biggest acquisition, I think, which kind of goes under the radar, is Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders to the Saints. Now it's huge because they said the Saints have not had a wide receiver 2 with like more than 500 yards in years, period. So I think it's a great move to bring in that veteran presence, and then, you know, to sew up that wide receiver 2 spot. Jared Cook you saw come on strong last year, and then you're looking at Michael Thomas. I mean, he's ridiculous, honestly. So then Alvin Kamara being healthy. You know, you got all the weapons.
That's what I'm saying. That's the only thing that I thought about when I seen Emmanuel Sanders get signed over there. Lunchbox. Alvin Kamara is going to absolute beast in that passing game. You know what I mean? You got elite slot and Emmanuel Sanders to run the slot routes and the deep route. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you got Michael Thomas all over the field catching everything. Somebody got to guard Alvin Kamara too.
Yeah.
It's going to be.
And then Jared Cook,
man.
Jared Cook was coming on strong at the end of the year. You know what I mean? So the Saints, man, that's a huge signing for them.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably going under the radar a lot, but I think it's going to pay dividends. Period.
Yeah, I think Breeze might end up in the bowl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not to mention those Cowboys looking really strong. They've got a lot of weapons that they've picked up on defense, and you know what I mean? They got Amari Cooper back. I think that was very big for them, even though, you know, Coop does disappear in games, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's hard. A lot of people have argued, is he worth the money? Not necessarily. Don't get me wrong, he's a great receiver. Is he a top 3, top 5 receiver? Probably not. And if you're looking at top 3 receivers in the league where he's making that money, he's not.
Yeah, they're consistent.
It doesn't show. You know what I mean? The consistency is what pays the bills, plain and simple.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. So Cooper's not consistent enough, but he is very explosive.
Yeah.
He makes plays when they need to be made, and the Cowboys couldn't afford to let him walk.
Another player that I'm telling you, you know, who is a free agent acquisition through trade, obviously, who hasn't been as consistent in the last couple of years, you know what I mean? Because he ain't had the ball thrown to him that many times. Stephon Diggs in Buffalo. Yeah. I mean, this is fantasy world. This is your sleeper right here. This is first round draft grade. You got to understand that. You know, even last year, he only had like 93 targets.
Yeah.
93. The top ones get 100, 150 targets. You know what I mean? If he gets that with Josh Allen, this guy can get you 1,300 yards.
Yeah.
Probably big, deep bombs. You know what I'm saying? Like Tyreek Hill, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
at least 10 touchdowns.
John Brown was making plays like that last season.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? Now you got both of them. So
you got Stephon Diggs. He's going to be the guy over there.
Yeah, you got to look out for the Buffalo Bills, period, man.
Yeah.
Singletary, real deal. Josh Allen, I think, is going to have a huge year this year.
Yeah, Singletary.
Especially having Diggs and John Brown. It's going to, you know, Cole Beasley. They got a lot of parts on offense.
Darwin Knox should take another step.
That's what I'm saying.
Year.
It's going to be good, you know, realistically. So Stephon Diggs, huge deal.
Yeah.
Now, the biggest question mark, the shocker of the world, David Johnson and the DeAndre Hopkins trade. What was O'Brien thinking? I don't know. The only thing I could see, obviously, you were already mentioning, was they couldn't pay him.
Yeah.
Hopkins
And
wants
also,
another deal.
They have beef. They have a little beef. They have a little funk. So they decided to move on respectively. Obviously, the organization wanted something back, so they got David Johnson. David Johnson has been hurt the last couple of years, but David Johnson has also only been good 1 year in his career. You know what I mean? So
That 1 year was an unbelievable year. I mean,
an unbelievable.
It was a record-setting year almost.
I'm kind of on the fence with this. You know what I mean? You seen Carlos Hyde run for 900 yards last year. You seen Duke Johnson in the mix, getting love after he finally got traded there. Well, David Johnson can do both. He could do exactly both things that both of those guys do. They gave David Johnson a lot of run. I mean, they gave Carlos Hyde a lot of run. Excuse me. I think David Johnson is going. Bill O'Brien is going to have to back it up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or this is the stupidest thing he's ever done in his career. So I think they're going to work him for everything that he has, and he's going to get the rock fed to him, and he's going to catch passes out the backfield. There is no hop there. You know what I mean? You got a lot of slot receivers. You got a lot of deep ball receivers. He's primed to eat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you got to worry about health.
Yeah, that's my biggest concern. Can he really be productive and stay consistent?
Of course.
You know what I mean, and stay motivated.
Well, yeah, he came off the big year, comes back, wrist injury week 1, misses almost the entire year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you're like, okay, well, it's just a wrist injury. You think it's not that big a deal. He should come in healthy the next year. And then he really struggled to run the football, period.
He did have a different set, a different system.
Of course,
and all that.
There's a lot of factors. So, he's joining a new set too right now. Coming off, really, they were saying he had the hurt back, where literally it kind of pretty much held him out of playing football. So how healthy he could be.
That's what I'm saying. It could be a mistake. You know what I mean? He could be completely washed.
Of course.
They have to
you know what? Like I said, I wasn't really high on him last year. Everyone was high with the Kyler Murray and, expecting him to have these high expectations. And it's like, he had a few good games, don't get me wrong, but he still struggled to run the football, especially between the tackles. And I think that's where Houston, he's going to make a lot. Now, the passing game is huge. Don't get me wrong, they're lacking pass catchers now. DeAndre Hopkins, 150 targets. Where are those going to go? You know what I mean? Kenny Stills is an okay receiver. Yeah. But Will Fuller can't stay on the field. It's already proven. Kiki Kute, he's hurt all the time.
Yeah, and has beef with the coach, too.
Of course. Yeah. So, there's going to be a lot of targets out there. It could possibly be, you got Deshaun Watson looking for someone to throw the football to. So,
that's what I said. Initially, I felt like he would be the possession receiver over there, and it would bode well for him. But then you look at his inconsistency over the years with his injuries and everything like that. Maybe the best thing for him to do is to be that kind of receiver to come out the backfield and not run through the tackles. But guess what? They also have Duke Johnson to do that too.
Exactly.
So I don't know what that organization is doing, but wasting Deshaun Watson in his prime is just like, I just don't understand it.
And then on top of that, we can flip the script. DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
With Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
I mean, Hopkins is a top 10 fantasy pick, typically. He's a top 3 wide receiver. He has been for the last 5 years. Yes. So, what do you do with him now?
Well, here's the thing. What we know about Hopkins is, in his career, he's been quarterback proof. He's gone through a lot of quarterbacks, and he has produced ridiculously unless he was hurt.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, he has been having nagging injuries. So, we'll see what happens with that. You got elite slot, an all-time great slot in Larry Fitzgerald.
Yep.
You got a host of wide receivers that they drafted last year. You know what I mean? You got Kenyon Drake, who just signed back. You got Chase Edmonds, and now you have Kyler Murray, who will project to probably be a top 5 quarterback next year.
Close to it.
With Hopkins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, does his fall off, really dive? I don't see it really diving that far off. But will it be the Hopkins that we used to? Only time will tell.
That's what I'm saying. So, it's kind of a beware, though. If you're looking at drafting in that late first round, early second round, Hopkins is probably going to be there.
Yeah.
So it's tough to judge on that, realistically, joining a new team. Now, Kyler Murray, they run 4 wide receiver sets. They love to throw the football, period. They're fast paced. They run a lot of plays. So it bodes well for all offensive players, realistically, in that system. So I don't know. Only time will tell, absolutely. But, I definitely still could see him as finishing in the top 5 at wide receiver.
I can, too.
And David Johnson, it's a big risk
it's 50,
for me to draft. That's what I'm saying.
So initially I was thinking, maybe in the second, third round, I'll take him. I'm thinking more or less now, if he's there in the 4th, I'm grabbing him, and this is it's honestly a steal gamble. You know what I mean? So, I wouldn't spend second round draft capital on him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've been at this a long time playing fantasy, so there's no way possible I would do that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? There's a lot of things. I mean, you would still have Mahomes there, or you know what I mean, or Lamar Jackson, or something like that. You know what I mean? I would take that over taking a risk
Yeah.
on David Johnson in the first or second round.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
So yeah, there's still some free agents left out there. We got Jameis Winston, Cam Newton. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Those are the two biggest names
Yeah.
on offense.
Javion Clowney's still out there. You know what I mean? That's defensive players, but you know, there's a lot of stuff still out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So draft is coming up 3
Yeah.
weeks from the draft, and I think you're going to see another bubble of free agents sign after that,
Yeah.
deciding where people get drafted and things like that, decisions. So yeah,
Yep. Well, hey man, you know what it is. For the first one down, as always, it's
B. Scott.
God and the third wheel. If you like this video, hit that bell and smash that button. Yeah.
Yeah.